It's the same. Like, why don't they have
Drinking and shooting.
If you could throw axes at a bar, you should certainly be able to shoot guns at a bar. Oh, good, Brandon, you made it right on time. Look at you.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. Of course I made it. Come on. Give me
well, 15 seconds late. I'll give it to you. You were the biggest guest we've ever had on the show, so you could have been half an hour late. I wouldn't have cared. You could have been an hour late. I mean,
that's not saying a lot for your show. But
no, it's not. But here
it's all good. And I'm, listen, I'm all revved up, ready to go. And, I've got like 48 hours of football on me with a little baseball, so I'm all rested. And
we're gonna.
My wife hates me like every other guy on a Monday that sat back and watched football all weekend. I try not to do that, and I did it.
How are you supposed to not do that? That's what it's for, isn't it? I mean, there's games all day, both days, because that's what we're supposed to do.
But this time of year, you got basketball, you got hockey, you got. I mean, it's everything's got. There's no room. Going on. There's no excuses that there's another game. There's just constant games between all the leagues colliding. That 2 week, there's a time when you got to send your wife on a little vacation, a little trip. So you just lock yourself in the sports room. But, I go to like 100 games a year. So to go home and watch more games is, that's like a formula for divorce.
Yeah. Can I just devil's advocate this for a second? Sure. Most of us, our wives have a case. They're like, you pieces of shit. You're watching football all day. Why? You have made millions of fucking dollars off of sports. So you're going to tell your wife, like, calm down. You see all this shit? This was paid for by sports. So maybe pump the brakes a little bit.
She's not a sports fan.
But is she a money fan?
The whole made a lot of money shit is like, it's not carrying any weight. The fact that
stop it. That's my only hope.
Zero. I mean,
zero. Then what are we doing this for? Yeah. Why are we doing anything if it doesn't matter?
It's funny you say that, but if you want to get into the deep end of the pool,
I do.
The money, bringing home the money at this point doesn't move anyone, and it only, money only decreases your unhappiness. It doesn't increase happiness. So we've already decreased all the unhappiness. My wife's got the jewelry.
Yeah.
We got this, we got that, and now you got to show up and you got to empty the dishwasher out and earn your keep. Like you got to go home every day and find something that makes you worthy of your wife wanting to stay married to you.
It's the best analogy I've heard is the hedonic treadmill. It feels like you're walking forward, but you're walking in place because you just get used to it, right? You get used to everything.
I'm just a worker. I'm always being worked on. My wife is a perfect, she's a beautiful, she's perfect. I'm always being worked on. I'm like the scaffolding outside of a building. I know that to go away, and there's always work that needs to be done. That's me.
They're always
trying to hold my own.
Marriage sounds scary.
Marriage is horrifying. Don't do it, Robin. Don't do it. Whatever you do. If this man who's made millions of dollars off of dirt can't please a woman.
I'm married though. I thought 35 years, love my wife.
Yeah, we all do. I know.
We really have. She's a bit of a pain in the ass, but she lets me sit there and watch football. But then the look and the attitude. And I said, look, I don't get all bitchy that you're reading the freaking New York Times all day, which last time I read the New York Times, I think I was in college because I had to read it, for a paper. I had to read. I mean, who sits there and reads the whole New York Times cover to cover? But some people do. I'm like, I sit there and watch all the football games and try to keep up with everything.
I went upstairs earlier. My wife was doing the crossword, so I don't know, but I feel your pain.
She loves to read. I appreciate that empathy. Thank you.
Yeah, you can't please these species. Okay, so here's the deal. I'm going to skip the intro, but you were the founder and president of CollectibleXchange. You were gigantic. I mean, so this is the format of the show. In the beginning, we cover the news for the first half hour because America demands our opinions on such things. And then we get into you for the second half hour. Although, to be fair, you're involved in so much shit, I would need many half hours. So it's going to be abbreviated, but we're going to try.
I'm here for you guys. Whatever you want to talk about, I'm an open book.
Okay. Yes, you are. I've learned that too.
Very open book.
But before we get to the news, I don't know if you know this, Brandon, but every day in the United States, some sort of day, some reason to celebrate, right? It's a national day every day. And today, I think it's pertinent because we're celebrating the season. It's National Horror Movie Day. Boys, how do you feel about horror movies? Do we have opinions on horror movies? Brandon, big horror movie fan?
I don't do it. I mean, I don't know if I've ever watched a horror movie ever.
Get out of here.
This day is the day that I'm taking a day off because I have never watched a horror movie ever, and I have no intention. It's not on my list of things to do.
Oh, my God. How's that possible? You've never accidentally seen The Exorcist or something? Never? So you love
0.
Halloween. Wow. Rodney, how about you? You big horror movie?
Contribute already. I'm not earning my keep on this show already. I'm at a loss.
You bat 300, you'll be all right. Right. All right. Listen, it was a ground out to short. What about you, Rodney?
No, it's not my thing.
Nobody likes this shit, Rob.
I mean, I've seen them, but it's not my thing.
No. I feel like horror movies are just out there to get you to jump scare, and that's pretty much it. For the rest, it's not really that interesting.
All right. Well, I got to tell you, I was raised by this movie, Nightmare on Elm Street 3. It's the third in the Freddy Krueger series, and me and my sister used to watch this shit on repeat. Sometimes when we wouldn't watch that, we watch Pet Sematary, which is about a dead kid killing other people. So maybe you guys are right. You should stay away from the genre. But I got to tell you, having never seen a horror movie is fucking amazing, Brandon. Your story just keeps getting deeper and more interesting.
I have a lot of issues, man. And there's a couple of things that I just have never done. I have no intention on doing. And this is one of them. I've never drank coffee either, by the way, while we're just opening up. I mean, ever. Not even a sip.
Why?
Ever.
Whoa.
Why? What are you avoiding?
I have no idea.
What do you drink in the morning, tea?
Therapy. I try to get the help. I try to get people to get why I don't do these things. A little bit of the OCD. There's some things that I just won't do.
Do you think before you on your deathbed, you're going to be like, give me an espresso? I just want to give it a shot. Let me see. No?
I told my kids right on my deathbed, I said, make sure you get me some Nathan's hot dogs, L&B pizza, and a Katz's pastrami sandwich. And if I can't eat it, just put it there. I'll smile it. I'll be fine.
Ah, where are you from? Down south? That doesn't.
Brooklyn.
Oh,
you're from Louisiana?
That makes sense.
From Brooklyn, one way or the other, we're all connected to Brooklyn. That's where all
that's right.
I figured you. Listen, I've done my research. You're very Brooklyn-y, which we're going to get into. All right, Robin, let's go to the news.
I take that as a compliment. But
we'll see. Robin, what's the first news story we got here?
So there's this social injustice that has kind of existed with money. It's probably as old as money itself. So it's that extremely wealthy people never have to pay tax, or rarely they do. So it's being pushed by the EU Tax Observatory, and they've come up with a number. It's a 2% tax rate on billionaires' wealth every year. So it seems pretty small, but like it would raise $250 billion a year, which could be used to fund important welfare projects. Not bad.
Yeah, I'm less concerned about the global tax rate and more concerned about the American tax rate. So I took a little look-see-poo. I don't know if you guys have heard about these four guys. Maybe you've read their names in the news. But on the far left is their wealth. On the far right is their tax bracket. Now, this seems light. Don't you think it's a little light that Warren Buffett's paying 0.10%? Now, listen, I don't want to shit on this ultra rich. I mean, they've earned it to whatever degree they have. But why are we paying more? I don't know about Brandon, he's rich. But the rest of us, why are we paying more than Warren fucking Buffett when it comes to taxes?
I know why Warren pays so little. I can tell you why. It's because he has a lower tax bracket because he's a speculative investor.
Oh, okay.
So because of the way his companies are structured, when you own a fund or something like that, you pay a lower tax bracket. With Jeff Bezos, I think a lot goes to research and development. And I don't know, and Elon and Michael probably loans in the same.
Yeah. Well, they mentioned this in their article. They say they use complex business structures for avoidance, which is probably true. But hear me out. Why bake in avoidance? What about a flat tax? Listen? I'm no tax doctor, but wouldn't a flat tax make sense? We all pay our fair share. Is that crazy to think?
Well, the real question is, how much is enough? Like, should somebody even be able to be a billionaire? Is really more of the question. Like, why do you need $1 billion?
Right. That seems. Right.
Says the rich guy. But, at the end of the day, it's like, that's what's like more bothersome to me as I've gotten older. It's like, should you, when you get to a certain level of wealth, have to allocate some of your money to helping, legitimate causes?
Right.
Otherwise, what the hell is the reason for having all that much money? So you can get more planes, more cars, more whatever.
Yeah.
But remember, as you're building wealth, and what's very unfair in this country is the best way to make a lot of money are the people that have a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And you're at a very, very distinct unfair advantage when you don't have a lot of money, and your hopes of making a lot of money is a lot of hype. But when you have a lot of money, it's a lot easier to make a lot more money and then pay not as much taxes because you're doing a lot more investing. And it costs a lot of money when you're doing these investments. And that's why it seems like the percentage are lower. But when you look at the gross amount that they pay or the gross amount I pay, it's a significant amount of money that I pay in taxes every year, which is kind of what I would defend myself by saying. That I do pay a lot of money in taxes, just that my percentage doesn't look sexy.
Do you think that, would you be in favor of a flat tax? Like that way we're all just paying our fair share, everybody shuts the fuck up? Does that make sense to you? Or is that too simplistic of it?
I like the flat tax, and I also like the billionaire tax, just because there's just no reason. It's very deflating when I see people in Amazon not being able to get a raise, and I see like the CEO making $10 million, or when I see Jamie Dimon making $25 million, and I see employees that are scrapping and scraping and maybe make $100,000. When Jamie, I think you're probably okay making $5 million a year, and maybe dispersing that $20 million so that there's a whole bunch of people in your company that make a lot more. And I get it. That's not how this country works. Yeah. But I just think that sometimes some of the people on the top, it's excessive. And I don't know, maybe I've been watching Billions a lot the last couple of days in between the sporting events, and that's got my head all messed up. And I see Prince and Axe Capital and all that. Like, I don't know if you're watching that show, but
I do. I watch it. Great show.
It's crazy.
Great show.
It brings this topic to light, where it's like all this greed and high level of money. And once you're over having $50-100 million of wealth, I mean, what are you doing with it other than more greed? And I don't know, like, how much good are you really doing?
Yeah. I think so too. So Dave Chappelle mentioned in his last SNL monologue about Donald Trump, and he hates him. Obviously, I do too. I think he's a piece of shit. But he did say he was an honest liar. And during the first debate, he came out and they challenged him about his tax record. And he goes, "Why would I pay taxes?" He goes, I cannot pay taxes. And by the way, everyone who's on this panel also doesn't pay taxes. So if you can get out of it, it behooves you to get out of it. So it's baked into the system. The other thing, Biden recently put forth a bill that would tax the top 1% 25%. You're never going to believe this. Between the thing in Hamas and Ukraine, they're like, oh, we can't deal with that right now. It died. But what we're asking people to do in power is to vote against their best interests. Like, these people could, but choose not to, because it's the smart thing to do. No one's going to be an altruist when you're a billionaire. So, we worship this idea of capitalism, but we're an oligarchy. The people
there's one exception, Warren Buffett. I mean, that dude gave the Gates Foundation, I think it's like $35 billion, a huge amount of his net wealth. I think it's just a phenomenal model. When it came out, I read every article about it, because what an amazing act of, I mean, he's still driving the car he drove 40 years ago.
Yeah, it's like a Volkswagen
amount of money to give away.
I know. Here's the thing too, like, you get all worked up because no one's paying this, but no one's ever been gifted into prosperity. I'm not under any illusion that if these people pay taxes, we're going to erase our $1.7 trillion debt. No, the system's is fundamentally fucking broken. There's too much wasteful spending.
The problem, I think, that a lot of people have, and I do as well, is that they collect so much tax and want to raise it, but they don't manage the money.
Exactly.
They waste it on foolishness.
The infrastructure is falling apart. We're $1.7 trillion in debt. There's no single payer higher education. There's no single payer healthcare. So, like, we're paying out the ass. We're not paying our bills, and we're getting nothing for it.
Hold on one sec. The airports are a lot nicer, and they're definitely doing a lot of work on the roads.
Okay, well, there we go.
Just saying. I mean, what city have you been to where there's not construction going on the roads? And
that's true.
The airport's not getting redone.
Particularly in New York. I can't drive through that goddamn state.
I got to be honest, they're always working on the roads in New York.
You guys still have potholes in New York?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
I lost the front end out of here. The mess. And they're always working on the bridge, too.
Oh, the bridge. What happened.
Finish the bridge, and then they're like, we got to do it again. We got to do it again.
Now, at least New York's getting some of that money. Thank God. Thank God somebody is. You're welcome, New York. All right, what else we got? Because we got a lot to talk to Brandon about. A lot.
So I think we've actually brought up this conversation in the past on why it seems like extremely expensive to visit the veterinarian. And the procedures almost always seem like they're overwhelmingly expensive, and they're charging you at every step of the way. So it causes a lot of shade to be thrown towards the vets. So this article, when I read it, it kind of made me feel horrible for things this way. Because apparently the veterinarians are suffering from high suicide rates, harassment from pet owners, customers that refuse to pay. And, these guys have to put down animals on a daily basis. It's sad.
That's the thing about vets, is you think you go in and you're going to be playing with puppies all day, but in fact, you're going to be murdering dogs all day. And I'm not like, it's a horrible thing. So they said between 1979 and 2015, that 400 veterinarians have killed themselves. That number doesn't seem huge, but it is 4 times the national average. And I think you got to consider these. You don't go into veterinarian care unless you really love animals. But once you're there, you're killing an awful lot of fucking animals. And it's it's bad. Because here's the thing. I've had this experience. They go, it's either $10,000 to fix your cat or $600 to kill it. And you're like, I don't know.
And they're always like, we're not sure if this is going to work.
Well, that's the other thing is they don't know. When your patient doesn't speak English, it's very tough to diagnose. Or
this is a very, very, very complicated process. I just want to throw one thing in there.
Yeah.
My dog, on the level of spoiledness, my dog gets better health care and better than I get. Like,
right.
but I understand. But it's my brother who's not as wealthy.
Yep.
Struggles every time his dog gets sick, and he's in a complete quandary because he doesn't want to lose his dog, and it's everything's $1,000, $600, and the average person doesn't have it. We are going to need, because our pets are so important, especially to older people. We are going to need to put some kind of relief package together to make it easier. Because during COVID, the shelters got cleared out, and now they're packed again.
Yep.
The shelters are packed again. And now there's become a much bigger problem, except we're all a lot more connected to pets than we were before COVID. And it's not exciting to see our shelters packed again. And then again, back where a lot of dogs, I don't know where this is coming from, but a lot of dogs are getting cancer. They've kind of caught up to humans on this. And then these doctors are in precarious positions to have to remove tumors, and people can't afford it.
Yep. And they have a name for it too. They call it the caring killing paradox. So they're aware, like some vet, the numbers are astronomical. So the average vet graduates with $289,000 worth of debt. They make a little over $100,000. But one guy said, okay, so we graduated vet school at $289,000. He's been paying for 10 years. Now he owes $460,000. So it's predatory all around. Like the system is broken, and we get mad at the vets because they're the ones who go, it's going to be 10 grand or 600.
Student loans are the only debts that can't be eliminated through bankruptcy. Like, you cannot get rid of them. Legally, you cannot get rid of student loan.
It's a fundamental flaw in the system. Under no circumstance should you owe $289, pay for 10 years, and owe $460. And then that's another issue.
Now, here's the other thing too, right? Here's the other thing I'll say too, right? I'll just say this is that if you went to a bank, think about this, right? Let's say you're 23, 24 years old and went to a bank. It's like, I need a $300,000 loan. They would start laughing hysterically.
Of course, but
not just student loan places.
Yeah.
Quick question: when you say 400 vets killed themselves, right, which is outrageous, that number kills me.
Yeah.
When you say 4 times the national average, what does that mean?
So, I'm glad you asked, because there's another chart that shows the national average of suicides per occupation. So I guess they must have a median, but I was shocked at this. Construction and extraction and installation, maintenance and repair, these very blue collar jobs. I was always under the impression that suicide rate was low, but as it turns out, it's at the top. Now, bad news for us, arts, design, and entertainment. We've been doing a podcast for 4 months. This might be us. But
I would say I'm more in insurance. I don't even see it on the list, so we're safe.
You're safe. All right. I don't see memorabilia seller. So I think, Brandon, you're going to be all right.
We're happy. We're living in the past. But how about police? How about police? Is that up there?
I don't. You know what? Law enforcement. I don't. You know what's weird too is I know that 22 veterans killed themselves.
Would that be protective service? That wouldn't be police, right?
Oh, maybe. This is another thing, Molly. Good point. People are very mean to vets. So there's a whole thing like harassment online. People call them thieves. And it's one of those classic cases where when you're mad at something, you yell at the customer service person because you can't get to anyone in power. You're just sort of like venting your frustration. But can you imagine vets with family pets and crying kids? I will say this. It must happen all the time, because the last time we had to put a cat down, they charged us before they euthanized it. So like, we're distraught. We don't want to do it. But they must have people that run away from the bill, that they euthanize the cat. They're like, see you later. So they have to charge your card. It's just, oh man, that's a high stakes game.
Also to your point, Eric, so people praise doctors for being like one of the most hard professions in the world. As a vet, you have to be a doctor for like at least a dozen different species of animals. They have different anatomy, different treatments, and you get paid
that don't speak. You can't even ask what hurts.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's wild.
It's not an easy. I actually saw a 60 Minutes special one time that said it was harder. I don't know if it's true or not, but it said it was harder to be a vet than it was to be a doctor.
Well, to Robin's point, you're dealing with 10 species, 50, a goldfish. Somebody might bring in a goldfish. You go, I got this. Do you? You ever worked on a fucking goldfish before? Here's the other thing, though, that's disheartening. If you look at what's very expensive, it's everything we need. Like housing is expensive, cars, education, healthcare, gasoline, pet care. It's like, if they can hold us over a barrel, they fucking do it. It's
the American way.
It is the American way. It is the American way. Oh, see, if you go to Costa Rica, you can kill a dog for $50. So there you go. There's some hope out there. All right. Ooh,
how many goldfish surgeons do you think there are? Do you think it's an occupation?
Robin, I don't know if you know this about Americans, but we fucking love our animals. So if our beta fish gets sick, we're bringing it to the doctor. Like, I know you'd fry it up, and that's not in it, but I think for the rest of the world, like, whatever, fuck it. Don't give a shit. Americans are very attached to animals. It's bizarre. I mean, I am too. I have 3 cats. All right, what's the next story?
Okay. Before we get into this, honestly, this story, I feel like it was a bit unintentional, and people are just getting way too sensitive. So there was this football game in Michigan State, and they had a little trivia quiz before the game where a question was asked about Adolf Hitler. And then it proceeded to show a picture of him during the quiz. So there's no motivation behind it. It was actually just like a trivia quiz that was downloaded off YouTube. So, of course, everyone lose their minds. And the board even had to come out with a statement that the content displayed did not represent their institutional values. It's just weird.
Yeah.
Maybe stay away from the quizzes.
Let me jump in on this for 1 second. Spoken by the team that was afraid maybe to play Michigan and lost 49-0. So at some point you're that desperate, you're trying to show anything you
That's a bad day.
on the screen to avoid it. And then Urban Meyer supposedly interviewing over there. That's how desperate that school is.
Jesus.
That they're interviewing Urban Meyer, who's been, leads college football coaches in cheating on all levels, on and off the field. I mean, this school can't get anything right, Michigan State. Yeah, we should give them the thumbs down today. The team suck. They had more legal problems. I mean, and then they're thinking about not playing because Michigan was cheating. Oh, did they cheat a little better than you cheated? Because you've cheated in every way. And God knows the different problems that Michigan State has had. They've been through all kinds of coaches. I mean, that school is just a debacle. And Urban Meyer is going to come in and save the program.
When it rains, it pours.
Sports somehow. I mean, it's a football game. I mean, for God's sakes. I mean, and if anybody's been to a college football game, I mean, the drinking is so excessive. I don't even know if anybody even knows what the hell's going on anyway.
They didn't recognize it.
They're like, is that a game down there? What's going on down there?
Yeah. I will say, Robin, I was just going to push back a little. Like, we are offended at way too much. I'm famously left, but I hate the offended at everything wing of my team. It disgusts me. But if anything's going to offend you, maybe a guy that killed 6 million people, maybe that's a line we go, you know what? Fuck that guy. Maybe we don't talk about him anymore. Maybe we don't fetishize murder anymore, which is definitely a thing. And I just want to prove a point. I just pulled up the Netflix. If you go into like true crime, How to Catch a Serial Killer, Double Murder, Murderville, fucking what happened to this chick? What about this guy? Everyone's dead. Wait, it doesn't stop there. There's
the writer with no hands. Did you see that one?
Fucking Murder with No Hands. I'm a Killer, American Murder. Why did you kill me? Night Stalker, abducted in plain sight. Guess what happened to this hotel? People were fucking murdered. You know what else we love? True crime podcasts. Can't get enough of that shit. Jeffrey Dahmer had a special. Everyone, oh, did you fucking watch that? Can we stop with the fetishization of murder for 5 minutes? You know what I mean? So
I agree.
Hitler, you couldn't have thrown up Mother Teresa, although I guess she was a piece of shit too. Like, is there anyone who's? Can we show? And what about? I'll tell you. You know who we should have done a picture of? Tom Brady. The man has never done anything wrong.
Tom Brady.
Yeah, Tom Brady.
Why don't they just have football trivia at football games? Wouldn't that make more sense?
Now you need genocide trivia. That's perfect for Michigan State.
That's the best rant you've got. That's the best rant I've heard all morning. That's the best rant I've heard all month.
Thank you.
Oh, the murder. Enough with the murder is awful. It's so bad. Something about logging onto Instagram every day and seeing dead babies in Gaza. I don't know. I'm a little sensitive to murder these days, and I would just prefer maybe we stay away from the fucking murder.
By the way, the Pats won yesterday.
My New England Patriots. Oh man, I don't know if you know this. We had a great 25-year run, but now we're celebrating
10 in a row now too. By the way, to win the division somehow. It's Buffalo shit in the bed.
I hope so. And Miami didn't look good last night either.
Finally, Buffalo gets the big win and goes to the Super Bowl and maybe wins the Super Bowl. And then they're just playing so badly, and they got a rough schedule ahead of them.
That window shut.
They lost to the Jets, right?
They lost to the Jets. They lost to us.
Who was the quarterback for the Jets?
They should have lost to the Giants last week too.
They should have lost to the Giants. The quarterback for who?
No, I said the quarterback for the Jets that week. Who was it? Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite.
I love it. You know who Zach Wilson can't beat? The Patriots. Oh yeah. All right, we got one more story, then we can talk sports all day long. Well, among other things.
Okay, so last week we promised we'd try to stay out of the Israel-Hamas conflict as much as possible. It actually took me like an hour to find the news today because the headlines is just riddled with it. So this is the only thing.
Skipping that, by the way.
Yeah, so this is the only thing that's like a direct consequence of the conflict that we can kind of get away with talking about. It's about the fluctuating oil prices, which is of course because of conflict. So they're dubbing it as the Middle East risk. So the price per barrel has been fluctuating from $80 to $90 a barrel this week, and it's expecting to jump to 100 soon. So unfortunately, of course, the biggest oil producers are in the Middle East. So if and when Iran does become involved, which seems like a huge possibility, there's a risk of, I think, 20 million oil barrels a day that's going to be disrupted with logistics. This is going to be a big problem.
It's going to be a big problem because it's a problem now. And in the article, they even say neither Gaza nor Israel is a significant supplier of oil, but we're already worried, so they're raising the prices. And you can feel it. Like I filled up the other day.
The market doesn't ever move off facts. It moves off worry.
Yeah, but fuck
I remember
worry.
the market tanked during right when COVID started. It went down from like it dropped, and then a few days later it went up, and then it's back up.
Yeah,
it's never what happens; it's fear.
Yeah, but can anything get cheaper? Why do eggs have to go to $20? Why does a gallon of gas have to be $7? Does it ever go the other way? Did you ever wake up and go, gas is $1? Holy shit, life is great. Or was it always the shitty direction?
And you got people in the Middle East ordering 20 Mercedes each year and 40 Rolexes.
Oh yeah.
This is my problem. Like, that's why I'm for the first time, I went hybrid because I've run out of electric with my wife's car, and that's embarrassing. You can't run out of electric on the highway. It's
you
not
can't do that.
You run down the road and go get a thing of gas. But I don't even understand how the gas got to $4.
I know.
How did this happen? Like, and why? Yes. So those guys could buy 30 Rolexes a year and blah blah blah. It's outrageous. I think the faster we get off of this gas oil, and they can all keep their oil. There's got to be a way. And my mindset is anything I can do to get away from oil and gas, particularly, I'm a fan of. I just don't understand why the gas 4 years ago was like $2 a gallon, and now it's like $4+. How could that possibly be?
I know. Now that they've anchored us that it's $4+, it's never going to go in the other direction. So now when it's now when it's 5 and it goes down to 4, we're going to go, oh, thank God. No. It needs to go down to 2 where it fucking was.
I feel like this might be the only thing that can switch Americans to going to electric vehicles. Is this?
You have to hurt our ability to drink bourbon every night, and it's affecting mine. So I'm willing to go hybrid. Here's the thing too. So I looked up some charts about foreign dependency on oil. I don't know why everything cuts off at 2011. I think the oil scientists just stopped doing research, but it was trending downwards with dependency on foreign oil. But then I did find this. This is domestic oil production by president. And I got to tell you, as much as I think Trump sucks and people think Biden sucks, they're trying. It's it ticked Bush not so good, but Obama, and it's trending in the right direction. It needs to trend in the right direction before
Bush was doing less than Clinton. I had no idea.
Oh, but what did
Dick Cheney did an amazing job. You did a good job on that, Dick.
What a great president he was. It was just nothing bad happened in those 8 years. Nothing.
He was the most oil-hungry president there was. That was the lowest.
Let me ask you a question. I always pose this question, and no one can ever answer it. I'll ask you guys, and I just wondered this: if we let's say the whole place went solar, right? Let's say the United States did, if that was even possible, and we didn't use gas and oil, like what would happen to the untold fortunes of the Middle East? Right?
You know what?
I'm just asking.
Like, they're still selling to China. I mean, there's still plenty of people to buy, and Europe. So, although we always think we're the big dogs and everybody needs us, people find a way. With like you think Russia's suffering right now, not selling us oil. They found other people to sell the oil to. They're still doing fine. I'm never going to buy another Russian anything. Yeah, I mean, after what they've done, I mean, it's going to be a long time of coming till I go buy anything that company produces. But somehow they seem to be doing okay.
Everyone forgets that it's a global economy too. Like the world's a big place. There's always going to be people buying awful things from awful people. Anyway, that was a really lighthearted news segment today, Robin. Thank you. There was nothing about like no good puppy stories that aside from killing them. Anyway, listen, we've killed the first half hour, and Brandon, OMG. So let me. Can I just say something off the bat before we get started? Normally, I save the ass kissing till the very end when we log off, but I'm going to kiss your ass right now because. Listen, no, thank you. What I've been trying to take this job more seriously lately, so I've been doing research into the guests, and usually I want to cry because it's so fucking boring. But last night I watched a bunch of the videos from the hookup. I gotta tell you, I got a little fucking misty-eyed, and holy shit, man! So everyone should do yourselves a favor, go to the hookup. The story about the big brother, little brother kid that got to meet Odell Beckham Jr. Oh my God, he was so fucking excited, and then the kid was cancer. with Alex Rodriguez, who then I want to hate because I'm a Red Sox fan, but he took him down below and introduced him to the other Yankees.
You can keep hating them.
I will. Well, they suck now, which is good. Like, and Mark Teixeira goes, "Hi, I'm Mark Teixeira." Like, of course, everyone knows you're fucking Mark Teixeira. And then there was the story of Mariano Rivera going to the fucking hospital. And then I was like, "Oh my God, you're such a good guy." But then I read your goddamn blog on Father's Day, and you talk about your father not being in your life, and then he died when you're 11, and you're making a conscious decision to be a better parent. Then you talk about your mother with such effusive praise. And then there was one other thing. I don't know what it was, but Jesus, you would be the perfect person if you weren't a piece of shit Yankees fan. You were so close.
By the way,
I got to be honest. I thought you sounded perfect. Now you're Yankees. You're definitely perfect.
I'm a fan of whoever's making me money. Don't be confused. I mean, I use the Yankees a little bit of a front, but I'm a fan of. I've done lots of business with the Yankees, the Cubs, the Dodgers. But just as a footnote, first of all, thank you for watching. And my kids haven't watched the hookup. Like my family hasn't watched the hookup. So. Sure, I
have this weird gene. So my father's in the army, and I never really had this experience. But like when you watch those videos where like people come back from war and surprise their child, I just fucking cry. I don't know what it is. When I see nice things, it triggers something. And the hookup is like the most beautiful. Like you were using the power of sports in the best way possible, and it's really, really beautiful.
It's been the joy of my life. You know, I'm still doing it. You know, right now I'm working on a 4th book. I'm riding along with police officers to really try to figure out what's going on with urban policing. Jeez. And every time I go and redo a police station, I've done 5 of them. I take the whole station to a ball game, just to say thank you. You know, like I think helping people isn't a burden. It's really a joy. I mean, it's really. I mean, it's far greater than the money I've made is the help that I can give people. And I've been doing the 2 acts of kindness, and you know, I love that work. I mean, and I'm continuing to do it, and. It's bigger than any player I've ever signed. It's bigger than the dirt I've sold and all that crap. Like, I just enjoy it, man. And I love. Like last night, I got to tell you a quick story. I'm in Shake Shack, which I know is my wife's favorite place, and she hadn't gone there in a while. So we go to Shake Shack, and this guy is. I don't know how to work the freaking thing to order the food. It's unbelievable. I'm an idiot. I'm like, I'm an idiot. So the kid comes over and says, "Don't worry, I'll take your order," which is really nice of him because every other person goes, "Figure it out, you moron." I'm like, so anyway, we get our food and the kid comes. So I go back over and say, "You know, honey, I love Shake Shack hot dogs. I'm going over and getting a hot dog." So I go over there. It was a little bit of a line. I go to the kid. I'd like to order a hot dog. He goes, "Just 1 second, sir. I got one person ahead of you." And I go, "You know, I don't need this hot dog." I'll go back to the seat. The kid comes over to me. 5 minutes later, said, "Did you want the hot dog? I can order that for you." Like, who does that? So I say to him, "Are you going to college? Like, I want to hire you right now." And in my mind, when I woke up this morning, because I asked him, I gave him my email. I said, "I'm going to send you some stuff. Yeah. And I want to talk to you because, you know," I said, "Are you going to college?" He goes, "I can't afford it." And immediately I'm like, I'm going to pay for this kid to go to college. There's no.
Oh my God. Like, let me guess. Did you send him to Syracuse? Because I know you only hire kids from Syracuse. See, I do my
I'm diversifying that approach, but I don't know where I'm going to send him. I got to find. I only met him for 5 minutes. I got to meet him, see what's going on, what the short, where the short fall is. But I'm definitely going to help him go to college. I woke up and said, I got to help this kid go to college, man. This kid's gonna be a waste of talent working at Shake Shack. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but he just has so much more skill in my mind the way I saw it.
And the foresight to see, yeah.
Yeah, and he didn't bring you a hot dog because he thought he was going to get a scholarship to go to college. He was just a good kid, which is nice. Oh, and the thing I forgot, by the way, is probably the thing that affected me most. You either owned, or I don't know if you a boys and girls home, like for troubled youth.
We had 2 homes, a boys and a girls home, and unfortunately, we had to close those last year because we had trouble. The courts were holding up the kids and not allowing them to go to the homes. Oh my God! But that was a 15-year run of those 2 homes, and it's funny, like this girl, I always tell the kids when I was there, "Call me if you ever need anything." That's my signature line. I mean, right, "Call me if you ever need anything," and I mean it. And some people never call me, but there are people that call me. So this girl calls me. She wasn't in the home. She's 24 years old. She was in the home like 8 years ago. She says, "I don't have the money for my tuition. I need you to lend me $3,000. I'm like, "No problem. You remembered I told you call me if you need anything, huh?" And I love that. Like those are all like my kids that over the years that like. I know that I kind of gave them a little bit of because it's tough when your parents don't want you. Yeah. You can't get over that, or when your parents can't handle you, or if something dramatic happens, like your parents are in jail, or how do you get over that? So like I really felt the good in helping those kids. And I think that sometimes people misunderstand. The government does help a lot of these kids, but not on the little things. The prom, all the other kids going to the prom. The government's not going to give you money for a tuxedo and a limo. Like that was like more the bigger ask, believe it or not.
It seems superfluous on the surface, but then it's not. It's a huge part of your youth. It's memories that you'll never, or you'll look back on and regret for the rest of your life. Like it's
like my scholarship at Syracuse. I'm like, I'm not giving tuition money. I'm like, I want to have the poor kid that decides he wants to go to the school, that needs movie money or needs the plane ride to go home and see his parents once a year, or maybe to get some clothes. That's. So, that's, and I'm still fighting with the school for them to use the money for that, because it's hard for a poor kid. Like the schools have gotten it. They've got to try to get poor kids in their school, kids of color. But then when you go to that school, how do you compete with the rich kids? Haven't been one of those kids. Like I was the poorest kid that went in Syracuse. Not only the poorest, but the dumbest. Of course, I had to go to a statistical regression analysis, and thank God they didn't have the names up there, but the lowest board scores, the lowest everything. And I'm like, thank God. Everybody's like, who is that kid? I'm like, I don't know who that kid was.
All right. Well, you may have been dumb at Syracuse, but so I've watched all your stuff. Like I listened to your TED Talk. I watched the 60 Minutes piece on you. As a matter of fact, you know what else? Listen, you don't have to thank me, but I bought your book. So from whatever percentage of Amazon sales proceeds you get, you're welcome. But for those who didn't get drunk and do a Brandon deep dive last night, can you start with the origin story? I know you said it a million times, but the milk and the bagels, can you bring us all the way back there?
Well, I'll give you a better story, and that is before we get to that, I got called up to the front of the class, and teacher gave me an envelope of money and said, what's this? He goes, well, you've been wearing the same pants for 3 weeks in a row.
Oh my God.
I'm like, how do you know that? He goes, well, you got a rip in the right knee. So I go home and I tell my mom, like, Mr. Kerper, who's my 5th grade teacher, gave me this envelope of money. He said, oh, no, we're not really. We're fine. And I come to realize, but when you're a kid, you only know what you know. I could cry when I even think about this story. But so anyway, I go to bed that night. And the next morning, I tell my mom, I said, listen, you don't have to worry about me. I'm going to go get a job on Saturday. And if I have enough money, I'll help kick into the family. Don't worry about me. Now, I don't know if any of you have kids, but as a 10-year-old, that's outrageous.
Right.
So on Saturday morning, I go out and I'm up and down Kings Highway in Brooklyn. It's about a 5-mile stretch of retail stores back then. And I find Freddie the Fruit Man. I tell you that story just because it's like every adult has a moment of time when you have to decide whether you, first of all, you're not going to let your past dictate your future and whether you're going to be accountable or not. Like for me at 10 years old, like making money became easy from that point going forward. Just to kind of set the table. I became accountable. Believe me, when I had to show up at Freddie Fruit Man at 7 a.m., I was there at 6:45. I want to lose some portion of my $1.50 an hour. And that's when the hustle started. So, I'm extremely accountable when I talk to clients, athletes, whatever. They know when I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And so, I go to see my mom and I say, I need a career change. And she's like, you're 13. I'm like,
well, no money in the fruit game.
3 years already. I want to play sports, right?
Yeah.
So she goes, go get a paper route on Avenue X in East 4th Street. And I see the sign that changed my life. It says, whoever opens up the most candy bars is going to get a box. Whoever opens up the most accounts will get a box of candy bars. So I'm, Brooklyn. I'm thinking, I'm definitely taking the box of candy. That's like a no-brainer. Like, what else can I win? And I'm telling you, I was up and down the streets and I got nothing. I had 29 dailies at the time. And I'm knocking. I got nothing. I go home. I said, Mom, I visited this old woman and she wouldn't get the paper delivered. She says, it's 8 cents from me, 8 cents from the corner store. He said, why would I get the paper delivered? And my mother's like, sit down. You got to stop selling. You got to start serving. You got to be a solution-based business person. Differentiate yourself, Brandon. Don't be like everyone else. There's other people selling the paper. What are you doing that's different? At 10 at night, so I go back. I'm trying to understand what my mother was talking about, but I'm knocking on doors. I'm a relentless kid. Like, there's no way I'm not winning these.
Well, you were candy motivated. Yeah.
I mean, whatever it was, I found the motivation. That's why I always tell people, like, find your motivation. If it's the candy bars, even if it's an automobile, a car you want, whatever it is. I knock on this woman's door at 10 o'clock at night. I said, ma'am, is there a fire? What? I said, if there's a torrential rainstorm, blizzard, heat wave, ice on the ground. A woman your age should not be out getting the paper. If I deliver you the paper every morning by 7:30, and I'll bring you milk and bagels, and if you need something else, I'm happy to get it. She says, you would do that for me? I said, I was concerned. I was worried.
Such an altruist.
Yeah, no, you're worried.
Right. I went, so she gets the paper, but I didn't know she was the mayor. I went from 29 dailies to 199 dailies and 234 Sundays, 2 shopping carts. So, one is like, are you listening to your customers? But more importantly, what I really figured out was that, like, if you really want to be an entrepreneur, you have to turn up your common sense, which is really empathy and compassion. Mm-hmm. Can you get out of your head and figure out what your customer wants and what they're thinking about as opposed to what you're thinking about? And as soon as I started, Matt, as a 12, 13-year-old, thinking about what it was like to be a 75-year-old woman in an apartment by herself. Mm-hmm. It's like, it must be tough getting groceries and stuff, whatever. I'm going to help her do that. Had nothing to do with the newspaper. And I think value proposition really is always led by curiosity. And curiosity will bring you to empathy, which is getting out of your head and getting into someone else's head to understand what they need and want. And that has been my secret to making millions of dollars, is that I can get externally very involved and get out of my head with what I want and try to figure out what somebody that I'm trying to serve needs. And I'll deliver it, whether it helps me or not.
I think that's the greatest thing I've ever heard. I'm serious. I'm not serious. I'm serious.
Listen, as soon as I'm done with the book, I'll send it over to you. Right?
You gotta have balls.
Borrow my copy.
Great title, by the way.
It is true.
When you think about, the great entrepreneurs, it's the ones that can get out of their head and have a high level of empathy and compassion for others. Because when you start thinking about what other people are thinking and feeling, that's when the white space occurs. And you have to turn up your curiosity to do it. People say, well, that's a great story. How do I do it? I'm like, turn up your curiosity about other people and what they're thinking and what they're going through. And you'll see the white space and what they need every time, twice on Sunday.
You know what's brilliant about it, too, is that on the surface, a newspaper delivery has nothing to do with milk and bagels. However, milk is having people like it, and bagels are delicious. So you throw that shit on top of the newspaper, how are you going to say no to that? You can't say no to milk.
It's like you invented Uber Eats.
Invented Uber Eats.
Who would have thought?
Exactly.
I always say your first idea is not your best idea, but when you think about it. And also the bagels led me to having a job all through high school. I was, at that time, bagels weren't everywhere. There was a bagel factory that I'd walk right by, right down the street, and they started at 4 a.m. Wow. The guy ends up hiring me. He says, look, you can still deliver your papers. Show up to work at 4 o'clock. At 7:30, go deliver the papers. Oh, so for like 3 months, I ended up doing that, which, at 13, I'm up at 4 a.m. learning how to make and bake bagels. I mean, we were just cranking out bagels. It's unbelievable. And that was enabled me to get a job in a very tough job market. If you look in the 70s, the recession was really deep. And I always had a job.
Well, you were waking up at 3 a.m. I mean,
I might just be ignorant, but is it legal to have a job as a 13-year-old in America in the 70s?
That was
legal.
Back then, I don't know. I was getting paid cash, but I don't know. It's a good.
That is a good question, because I got my first real job when I was 15. I had to get all this stuff signed, but I started working when I was very young too. A different story, but they used to burn tobacco, and I would go behind it and pick up the tobacco. But everyone paid me in cash, and then I started a paper route, and then landscaping, and so on, right? But the same thing. I remember when I went to get my first job, they were like, "Have you ever worked before?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Of course.
So the lesson in the United States is you can still use child labor as long as you pay under the table.
That's right.
The loophole,
That's
everybody.
Right.
So if you're paying attention, if you're going to learn anything here
today. Moral of the story, but we'll go with it for now.
All right. So Brandon, I do have so I watched a lot about you, but I had a hard time piecing together a real linear story, because much to your credit, you do a lot of this like digestible, like short clips and everything. So yeah, you have this, and then you go to college because you go to Syracuse. But then beyond that, so there's sort of two things. There's the Super Bowl experience, right? The Super Bowl 21, who I believe Bill Belichick was the defensive coordinator for that team, right? That's right. All right. So you have that, but then you also convinced Mark Messier to give you some sort of deal. So like, and the other part is you were motivated to get off public transportation. You wanted a car. And I hear you, because I'm way too pretty for public transportation. So after college, where's it go? How does the story go?
It doesn't go well. I mean, all the work and everything, was great. I mean, I worked full time in college and about 30 hours a week in high school. I mean, it wasn't easy. And then I come out of college, figure I'm going to kill it, and I can't get a job. So I ended up. I was I really was a chef. I was a big baker, cook.
Oh, I saw that.
So that was kind of my thing, and I wanted to go work for Hyatt. I ended up going down and worked for this hospital, Greater Baltimore Medical Center. They definitely pulled out every good-looking nurse that day when they interviewed me because I never saw those women again. But it looked exciting. It looked like I was a good direction. But, you know, what's crazy is they opened up a Hyatt hotel about 8 months after I had gone down there. And that was like my first big break. I went to work for Hyatt. That's where I got a lot of my training. I was in a training program there. And that was the big break really came from, and there's the most devastating things. I get fired from Hyatt after 2.5 years. I was there 90 hours a week, 3 promotions. I called my mother up. I'm like, Mom, can you believe they did to me? They fired me, working 90 hours a week. I got 1 day off every few months. My mother's like, they're not firing good people at Hyatt. They're a growing chain. You better get yourself together and start working out some of the rough. This is a moment of time where you think your mother's going to give you the shoulder to cry on. And she's like, you seem to be a little rough around the edges, and maybe your management style is not quite what you think it should be if you want to run a company one day and be a manager. I go to the bookstore and I start buying every freaking self-help book I can buy. The Power of Positive Thinking, Dale Carnegie, and I really got into Harvey McKay, who became a friend later on. So the big break came is after that, I went back to New York and opened up the Hard Rock in New York. And that's where I met all the celebrities. I was the assistant general manager around the place at night. And the reason I got it is I told you how much of a technology immigrant I am. But at Hyatt, they were the first ones to put a computer system in where you actually put the order in and it would pop up in the kitchen. Up to that point, you wrote it on a piece of paper, you ran into the kitchen. Right. And then you could, if you had multiple locations, you could see the times you were selling the most, what you were selling the most of.
It's a POS system, right? They call it.
I love this thing. That's why I got promoted 3 times, which I could just tell you a million stories about that. But I go into the Hard Rock, and Isaac Tigrick, who's the owner, him and Peter Morton invented the Hard Rock. They're smoking a joint. I'm like clean cut, Navy suit, coming from Hyatt. This guy is smoking weed. These guys are, I'm like, I don't know how this is going to work. And I gave my best shot. And I thought that I had a good shot at getting the job. And on my way out, I go, what is that? And it's a 2160, the NCR 2160. And he's like, you worked on the 2160? I said, I can put that thing together, take it apart. And they don't hire me. But I go back. I was working for this guy, Carmine, up in Danbury, Connecticut. Not a good place for Jewish people at that time. This guy, I'm living in a freaking Holiday Inn room, miserable. I go home and said, Mom, I'm done. I'm getting out of the restaurant business. Maybe I'll go down to Wall Street, whatever. And as I'm sitting on the bed talking about my next career, the phone rings. and it's Hyatt. It's the Hard Rock. And they said, can you run the computer thing? It keeps going down. I go the next day for the interview, 8 people, and I get that job. And because they had opened for a week, and the computer system was thrown for a loss, and I get the assistant general manager's position. Wow. Doubled my salary than I ever made before. They offered me $25,000. I would have worked there for nothing. I'm like, there's no way I'm working there for $25,000. You guys need me. You're going to start me at $35,000. I never made more than 20 at the time. I need to start at 35, and if you like me after 3 months, I want 40 because I don't have to come back and ask for a raise. I'm going to be doing such a good job. And if I'm not doing a good job, then fire me. And one of the great lessons is that pre-negotiate when you get a job. Always pre-negotiate your first raise. It's always hard to get a raise when you get a new job. You always wait too long. So you have to pre-negotiate your first raise always when you negotiate your starting salary. And my mother taught me that. And to have the balls. My mother's favorite line is you got to have balls. That's what the book is named after my mother. And it's like, I am going in there working for the most popular restaurant I've ever seen ever, other than maybe Tao. I mean, this restaurant, lines for 14, 15 hours a day to get into the Hard Rock. And I would have worked there for nothing. I'm the youngest manager they hired. And I'm asking, I already negotiated my raise and I got paid more than all the other assistant managers. Wow. It's outrageous. But that was the big break because I met all the athletes that would come into the Hard Rock. Nobody cared because Elton John's walking in, Jackson Brown's walking in, Rod Stewart's walking in, and the place is going crazy. I'm going crazy as Dallas Strawberry and Keith Hernandez walks in. And that's how I got to meet a lot of the athletes and helping them get into the place because the people at the front door wouldn't even let the athletes in. They didn't care. Except they want
the celebrities.
There's a lot to digest here. First of all, was your mother Dale Carnegie? Like, why is she so smart?
My mother was a genius. Woman that took no shit from anybody.
I guess so.
And she was just different kind of. I mean, what woman owned her own business back in the 60s and 70s? My mother did. Auto parts. My car would break down. He's like, go underneath the hood, do this, do that. Mom, they stole my hubcap. Come on, let's go get a hubcap.
Oh my God.
I said, I don't know how to get a hubcap. Let me show you. You know, like, she's just a different kind of person. And she was a really brilliant businesswoman. If she would have been able to finish college and had a normal father, don't get me started, my grandfather, but she really could have been a great CEO of a big company. She had that kind of skill, aptitude, degenerate gambler. She has a card counter. You know, she had lots of multiple skills.
But she did really well with you, so that's not bad. So the Mark Messier thing, what happens here? So was he your first? Is he your first guy? I mean, you told that story.
Guy was really Otis Anderson when they won that Super Bowl, and he let me represent him. That was a huge break.
Yeah.
Phil Rizzuto came shortly after that, where I was doing a lot of stuff with Yogi, and Yogi ended up giving the work to his kids, and I was like devastated. So I talked to Yogi like twice, 3 times a week.
Oh my God.
And when Phil got into the Hall of Fame, he was 77, and Yogi went to him and said, "Look, you're going to need a rep." Because Phil never had a rep. He goes, no, you're going to need a rep. You should hire the kid. This is a great kid. He's going to do a good job for you. So I was in his house begging him and his wife to hire me. And that was a huge break. And a Yankee Hall of Famer brought me and introduced me to the market. Then Mark Messier comes along. I'm a crazy Ranger fan. And, you know, I was taking a train every day into the city. I just want to get a car. And I see the back page where Mark's holding the cup. And I'm like, I know I can sell 15,000 of those. So I wasn't in the memorabilia much at that point, or marketing of athletes. What's crazy about that story is like it took me 3 months to get Mark's attention.
Wow.
You know what I mean? It wasn't like Mark goes, oh yeah, sure. Like Mark has a very small dining room table. I had to go to his sister, brother, accountant, everyone to try to get Mark to the table.
You track these people down, or
oh yeah. I tracked them all down.
And this was before email too. Like you,
so we're very similar. You got to find these people.
I had nothing. There was no email, and I had no money. It was like I had the money. I remember the first contract was $300,000 for a year. I mean, the man had to do all kinds of shit for me, and I was up all night, you know, trying to figure out how I was going to make money on that. So I had no idea. And Mark was worth every dime of it, and. Listen, I mean, I could go through so many great Mark stories, but I just got lucky, man. I mean, he's just the real deal. Everything we asked of him, he did. Always went out of his way, and really helped me open up Steiner Collectibles at that time. That was, you know, no one really had done what I was doing, and he really was a great starting point in so many ways. That was a big break. Just wanted to get off the damn train. So
I hear you. Listen, you were too good for that shit. Like, look, I said it earlier. We could talk for a million hours about everything because I mean, you're a really interesting fella. But balls and dirt. I watched your TED talk. Your TED talk must have set a record for testicle references because there was so many ball references. But can you just briefly go through how you managed to make so much money off balls and dirt?
I mean, you know, at the end of the day, I think listen. I always say your biggest problems lead to 2 things: lessons and blessings. So like I had way too many balls in stock. We were overstocked. And then the dirt comes in because, you know, the recession was going on. And I don't know if you remember that whole real estate thing. I don't know if I had a quarter for every time I went home and told my wife, this is it, we're going out of business, I would be just rich on that. You know, I'm a little bit of a nervous wreck. And the dirt came about because I don't know what people are going to buy. And I think I can't ask Jeter to do anything else. So I'm thinking that dirt underneath there, you know, every time I go on the field, I always grab a little dirt, put it in my pocket. Maybe I could sell it. And SKU after SKU, and we started cranking out dirt. I had a whole little dirt factory. It's unbelievable.
Did you say you made? It was like 50 million off of dirt, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, but how do you get it? You can't just go down there. I mean, I'm an idiot.
You have to have. There's a whole process because not all dirt is created equal. You got to watch the TED talk, but
you got to watch the TED talk.
You got to watch the TED talk because all the dirt from all the different stadiums are all different color, the viscosity, everything else. And then we did dirt pens, dirt coasters. I mean, all kinds of dirt clocks. The real main thing is when I sent Brian Cashman this poster with all the different pictures of the stadiums. I told my guy to put a capsule of dirt from each stadium, and it was all authenticated, by the way. Remove dirt from a stadium, an MLB authenticator would be there to verify that the dirt really came from that stadium. Because Jeter's dad was always saying that. How do I know that dirt's real? How do I know it's like it's real? It's authenticated. It's actually verified and everything. And so I sent Cashman this poster with all the dirt and all the pictures of all the different teams. I say, "Now, Brian, thanks for all your help. I love Brian Cashman, by the way. Love him, my favorite." And I go, "Now you have a little dirt on every team in your office." And I was able to sell posters for $500 with 32 capsules of dirt.
See, this is
the
thing.
The magic. I would say your first idea is never your best idea.
Rodney, if you're into margin porn, his TED Talk is margin porn because he talks about, all right, so he has these balls, but then he comes up with a protective plastic container. I think you said they cost you 60 cents and you were selling for how much? 10 bucks, 20 bucks, something like that?
I was selling the 60 cents for $5. And I'm thinking, somebody's got to have a really cool place to put their balls. So I came up with this glass case. Yeah. And I was selling that for $20, and the cost of that was like less than $5.
The margins are unfucking like it's just,
nice.
It's genius.
Everybody's got to have a place to put their balls. So
you got to protect your balls.
Growing, and trying to sell more balls, right? Because we're overstocked on the balls, so we have to start moving our balls. Which is funny. You got to move your balls.
You got to move.
Trying to move the balls, and then I figured people got to have a place to.
No.
What's great about that is that after I come up with that brilliant idea of the $20 case, I'm thinking people can't read the signatures on the balls. So I take a photo of whoever that player signed the balls and put it in the back of the case. And I take some game used dirt on the bottom. And I get $39 for that. I added $1 of cost and double that. And people are calling me to thank me. Yeah. Thank me. Oh, thank you so much. Now I have a really cool place to put my balls. And I could show off my balls.
You're a savant. I got to tell you, you're a savant.
Because you can't read the signature on the ball.
Wow.
Yo, it goes so far beyond. Like, he is a savant because you know where it leads him? And listen,
you're incredible.
I'm a Yankees fan, but look at this lineup of pieces of shit.
Yikes.
Posada.
Look at these guys. This is a dream team.
Mariano
It's epic.
I was
from Muhammad Ali, name it. By the way, when 2005, my best year ever, when 2004, when the Red Sox won.
My best year ever.
I call up Kevin Millar and I Kevin, where are you right now? This is after I got over my almost jumping off the bridge and killing myself when the Red Sox beat us in Game 7, and now they beat the Cardinals.
Yep. And
I go, Kevin, where are you right now? He goes, I'm walking to a hotel. Do a sign. I said, get the fuck out of that hotel now. I will double whatever they're paying you, and you need to help me get the rest of the team.
Wow.
And I had every guy on that team sign, and that was my biggest year ever at Steiner.
Oh my God.
The Red Sox team, because I knew that people were going to go crazy. They were all, but listen, that was a great opportunity. Love Johnny Damon.
Yeah.
So many great players on that Red Sox team, except for one.
Which one?
Who's a complete piece of shit is Kurt Schilling.
Kurt Schilling is. I thought you were going to say Pedro because of the December thing. Yeah, fuck Kurt Schilling.
Pedro's highly difficult.
Yeah.
But he's such a good player.
Yeah.
And at least he was what he was. Like, you need to have you need a private plane to fly you in, and you need to set up a full buffet, sit up for 48 hours while you sign the stuff.
Kurt Schilling is such a piece of shit.
But we did it, and at least he showed up, he signed, and we paid him, and that was it. But there was a lot of characters on that team.
Oh my God, it was the best Red Sox team in the history of Red Sox teams. I will say this about Mariano Rivera, though. He taught you faith. He taught me faith too when he blew Game 4 of the 2004. Yes, but I'll say he's the coolest fucking player because when the Yankees came to Fenway the next year in 2005, they were there during the ring ceremony. And when Mariano came out, the crowd cheered him because he'd blown, and he tipped his cap to the crowd. He smiled. I was like, this guy's a good guy. I mean, and I know you know him very well, but he's really, for a Red Sox fan, he's fucking great.
He's different. Yeah, he's a different kind of character, and all those guys learn to smile when it hurt. That you never know what the hell they were thinking, but believe me, that hurt. Yeah. I don't think the Yankees have been the same since. I knew it then. I know it now.
Thank God.
That organization took a turn when that happened.
Yeah. Well, we both suck now. We're 4th and 5th in the AL East. So, what do we have to do to get on your roster of talent? Because I think
we have to get some talent.
Yeah.
I just want to tell you, I'm really good for my age and my body stature. I'm pretty good.
That's
shape.
True. He plays. Rodney plays pickleball. Yeah. Do you have pickleball?
Pretty good. I can definitely beat any of the professional athletes.
I play with my wife in our gym. Yeah.
Have you considered having a pickleball talent on your roster?
I could beat Eli Manning easily. I could beat him.
You probably could.
In pickleball.
Oh, Eli Manning. Oh, Jesus.
In pickleball.
Okay.
When you look at Eli Manning, you wonder, like, wow, that does not look like an athlete.
How did he beat this man twice?
I just have no idea.
I could probably beat Tom in pickleball too, actually, now that I think on it.
Tom Brady? You think you can beat Tom Brady in pickleball?
I'm joking. No.
real quick on Tom Brady because we got to wrap up. But I did go to go to your site. I was like, you know what? Let me see how much Tom Brady cards are going for. So this is a Tom Brady rookie card. This is going for $45,000 if anybody has it. Then I thought, well, I can't afford this. Maybe I can afford the second one. No, that's 39 grand.
I'll give you the 99 cent. I'm good for it. I'll give it.
Wait about a week. We're about to bring 1 million trading cards onto the site this month.
So stay
tuned.
Wow.
The trading card business is alive and well. I've just decided, I flipped my company around with the new company, CollectibleXchange, and it's now a marketplace where you can buy and sell. Yeah. I just feel like there's a lot of older people that have a lot of stuff that I probably sold them, and I probably need to help them sell it. And so now I'm going to the Salesman Hall of Fame to be able to sell stuff twice.
You should be. You might be. You might have invented sales. I think you're incredible.
But it's not. Let me just tell you though, it's not just sports collectibles because I thought, well, let me see what the going rate on dirt is. So I typed dirt into the section. So I didn't find any dirt, but I did find David Spade signed a Joe Dirt poster. So
I will
get
this
for
you, Eric.
We're like a form of eBay on our site. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, you're Rodney. You want to go halfsies on a David Spade poster?
We could do it.
Yeah, there's everything. Everything you can think of. I have an entire page that we didn't get to of notes because you were really, truly a very interesting guy, and it kind of breaks my heart that you're so New Yorky because
I love New York. I'm on Long Island. I'm on the North Fork.
Wherever part of the country has helped me make money. I'm a lot more diversified, but New York's such the big apple. So I tend to get a little bit pinhole like with the Yankee thing, but I'm all over the place. I mean.
Yeah, you're coin operated like the rest of us. Yeah. All right, we should log off because it kicks us off after an hour. But can you stay in the green room for 2 minutes? I know you're a very busy guy, but I just want to, chat a little bit.
Sure, no problem. Hey, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. You're awesome. I knew you were going to be great. On something about entrepreneurs who love sports. I don't know. It's just fucking. They're my people.
It's all right, Ron, man. I love what you guys are doing. I hope you continue to keep rolling and keep being edgy, man. Don't change.
We're trying our very best. All right. We'll see you tomorrow, America. Goodbye. Stay there. Don't log off.